I want you to understand that these habits we'll discuss are not external forces imposed upon you. They are patterns of thought and behavior that you have accepted, perhaps unknowingly, as part of your reality. But just as you have accepted them, you have the power to release them and step into your true, limitless nature. Let us begin with the first habit, living in the past. My dear friends, how often do you find yourselves dwelling on past events, reliving old hurts, or longing for times gone by? This habit of living in the past is perhaps the most insidious of all, for it robs you of your true creative power, the power of now. You see, the past, as you perceive it, is nothing more than a shadow, a memory traced in the halls of your mind. It has no substance, no reality, except that which you give it through your attention. When you dwell in the past, you are quite literally creating it anew in your present experience. Imagine, if you will, a projector in a cinema. The images on the screen seem real, don't they? They evoke emotions, trigger responses. But are they truly real? No, they are mere projections, illusions of light and shadow. Your memories, your past, are much the same. They are projections of your consciousness given light by your attention. But here's the liberating truth. You are not the projectionist, bound to play the same reel over and over. You are the projector itself, the source of all images. You have the power to change the reel, to project new images, to create a new reality. How do you do this? By fully embracing the power of the present moment. By recognizing that now is the only point of power. It is in this moment, right here, right now, that you have the ability to choose, to create, to manifest. When you catch yourself dwelling on the past, gently but firmly bring your attention back to the present. Feel the aliveness of this moment. Recognize that in this now you are free, you are powerful, you are divine. The past no power over you unless you give it power. This leads us seamlessly to our second habit, worrying about the future. Just as living in the past robs you of your power, so too does anxiety about the future. How many of you lie awake at night mind racing with what ifs and worst case scenarios? This habit of projecting fear into the future is a misuse of your divine creative power. You see, my dear friends, the future does not exist except as a concept in your mind. It is a blank canvas waiting for the strokes of your imagination. When you worry about the future, you are using your God-given power of creation to manifest the very things you fear. Remember, your imagination is not just idle fantasy. It is the very workshop in which your reality is forged. What you imagine with feeling, with conviction, becomes the blueprint for your experience. When you worry, you are imagining negative outcomes and imbuing them with the power of your emotion. You are in essence praying for what you do not want. Instead of worrying about the future, I urge you to use your imagination constructively. See the future you desire. Feel it live it in your mind as if it were already a reality. For in truth it is, in the realm of infinite possibility, which is your true home, all possibilities already exist. Your job is not to make things happen, but to align yourself with the reality you prefer. When you find yourself worrying about the future, pause. Take a deep breath. Remind yourself that the future is not set in stone, but is clay in your hands. Then consciously choose to imagine the outcome you desire. Feel the relief, the joy, the satisfaction of that perfect future. Let those feelings fill your being. This is not mere positive thinking, my friends. This is the active use of your divine creative power. Now let us move on to the third habit, comparing yourself to others. This habit, my dear friends, is a particularly pernicious one, for it denies the unique divine spark that resides within each of you. When you compare yourself to others, you are looking outside of yourself for validation, for a measure of your worth. But I tell you, there is no standard external to you by which you can be measured. You are a unique expression of the divine. There has never been, nor will there ever be, another being exactly like you. Your journey, your experiences, your perspective are yours alone. To compare yourself to another is like comparing an oak tree to a rose bush. Both are perfect expressions of life, yet wholly unique in their manifestation. When you fall into the habit of comparison, you are denying your own divinity. You are saying to the universe, I am not enough as I am. But I assure you, you are more than enough. You are in fact all that is. For in your true nature, You are one with the divine, one with all of creation. Instead of comparing yourself to others, I urge you to turn your gaze inward. Recognize the divine spark within you. Celebrate your unique gifts, your particular way of expressing the infinite. For it is in embracing your true self, your divine nature, that you find true fulfillment and peace. When you catch yourself making comparisons, pause. Take a deep breath. Remind yourself of this truth. I am a perfect expression of the divine, all and complete as I am. Feel the truth of these words resonating in every cell of your being. For as you acknowledge your own divinity, you automatically release the need for external validation. This understanding leads us naturally to our fourth habit, seeking approval from others. My dear friends, how much of your life is spent seeking the approval of others? How often do you shape your actions, your words, even your thoughts, based on what you believe others want or expect from you? This habit of seeking external approval is a denial of your own inner guidance, your own divine wisdom. You see, within each of you is a direct line to the infinite intelligence of the universe. This inner knowing, this divine guidance is always available to you. It speaks to you in the language of intuition, of feeling, of inner knowing. But when you habitually seek approval from others, you drown out this inner voice. You replace divine wisdom with human opinion. Remember, no one else can know what is right for you. No one else walks in your shoes, sees through eyes, or knows the stirrings of your heart. The approval you seek outside yourself can only ever be a pale reflection of the divine approval that already resides within you. Instead of seeking approval from others, I urge you to cultivate a deep trust in your own inner guidance. Listen to the still, small voice within. Feel for the path that resonates with your deepest truth. For it is in aligning with this inner knowing that you step into your true power, your divine nature. When you find yourself seeking approval, pause, take a deep breath. Turn your attention inward and ask yourself, what do I know to be true? What feels right to me? Trust the answer that arises. It may come as a thought, a feeling, or simply a sense of knowing. This is your divine self, guiding you towards your highest good. Now, let us explore the fifth habit, negative self-talk. My dear friends, the words you speak to yourself are perhaps the most powerful in all of creation. For these words, these thoughts are the very instructions you give to the infinite to create your reality. When you engage in negative self-talk, you are quite literally programming yourself for limitation and failure. You see, the subconscious mind does not differentiate between what is real and what is imagined. It accepts as truth whatever you tell it repeatedly. When you habitually engage in negative self-talk, saying things like, I'm not good enough, or I always fail, you are instructing your subconscious to make these statements reality. Here's the liberating truth. Just as you have the power to program limitation, you have the power to program success, abundance, and joy. Your words, your thoughts are the tools with which you sculpt your reality. Instead of negative self-talk, I urge you to consciously cultivate positive, empowering inner dialogue. Speak to yourself as you would to someone you deeply love and respect. Affirm your divine nature, your inherent worthiness, your unlimited potential. When you catch yourself in negative self-talk, pause. Take a deep breath. Then consciously choose to rephrase your thoughts in a positive, empowering way. Instead of I'm not good enough, say I am constantly growing and improving. Instead of I always fail, say every experience brings me closer to success. Remember, my dear friends, you are not your thoughts. You are the thinker of your thoughts. You have the power to choose which thoughts you will entertain, which seeds you will water in the garden of your mind. This understanding brings us to our sixth habit, perfectionism. Perfectionism. It masquerades as a virtue, doesn't it? The relentless pursuit of excellence, the refusal to settle for anything less than the best. But I tell you, my dear friends, perfectionism is a trap. It is a denial of your divine nature, which is already perfect, whole, and complete. You see, the pursuit of perfection implies that you are somehow flawed, incomplete, in need of improvement. But this is a fundamental misunderstanding of your true nature. You are not a human being striving for perfection. You are a perfect divine being having a human experience. The habit of perfectionism keeps you in a constant state of striving of reaching for a future state of better. But in doing so, it robs you of the joy and power of the present moment. It keeps you focused on what's wrong rather than celebrating what's right. Instead of perfectionism, I urge you to embrace the concept of excellence. Excellence acknowledges your current perfection while allowing for growth and expansion. It celebrates your efforts and achievements rather than constantly finding them lacking. When you find yourself caught in the grip of perfectionism, pause. Take a deep breath. Remind yourself of this truth. I am already perfect, whole and complete. My experiences are opportunities for joyful expression, not tests to be passed. This shift in perspective allows you to approach your endeavors with joy and enthusiasm rather than anxiety and self-criticism. It allows you to fully express your divine nature in each moment, rather than postponing your joy to some future state of perfection. Now let us explore the seventh habit, avoiding responsibility. My dear friends, the avoidance of responsibility is perhaps one of the most limiting habits you can cultivate. For in avoiding responsibility, you are denying your own power as a creator. You are saying to the universe, I am not the author of my life, but a victim of circumstance. But I tell you, there are no victims in this universe, only creators who have forgotten their power. Every circumstance in your life, every experience you have, is a creation of your consciousness. This may seem a heavy burden to bear, but it is in fact the key to your liberation. You see, when you avoid responsibility, you place the power to change your life outside of yourself. You wait for circumstances to change, for others to behave differently, for luck to smile upon you. But in doing so, you give away your God-given power to get in. Instead of avoiding responsibility, I urge you to embrace it fully. Recognize that you are the author of your life story. Every thought, every word, every action is a brushstroke on the canvas of your existence. When you embrace this responsibility, you step into your power as a divine creator. When you find yourself avoiding responsibility, pause, take a deep breath. Then ask yourself, how have I created this situation? What can I learn from it? How can I use this as an opportunity for growth and transformation? These questions shift you from a victim mentality to a creator mentality. Remember, taking responsibility doesn't mean blaming yourself. It means acknowledging your power to create change. It means recognizing that regardless of what has happened in the past, you have the power to choose your response in this moment, and in doing so, to shape your future. This understanding leads us seamlessly to our eighth habit, fear of care. The fear of failure. How many dreams has it strangled in their cradle? How many divine expressions has it silenced? This habit, my dear friends, is perhaps the most limiting of all, for it keeps you small, keeps you safe, keeps you from expressing the fullness of your divine nature. But what is failure really? Is it not merely a judgment, a label we attach to certain outcomes? And who is the judge? Only you. You see, in the infinite realm of possibility, there is no failure. There are only experiences, each one an opportunity for growth, for learning, for expanding your consciousness. When you fear failure, you are saying to the universe, I do not trust in my divine nature. I do not believe in my ability to grow and adapt. But I tell you, there is nothing to fear, for you are an eternal being, a spark of the divine. No experience can diminish you. No outcome can lessen your inherent worth. Instead of fearing failure, I urge you to embrace it as a teacher. See every failure as feedback, as valuable information guiding you toward your highest expression. For it is often in our greatest challenges that we discover our greatest strengths. When you find yourself gripped by the fear of failure, pause. Take a deep breath. Remind yourself of this truth. I am an eternal being, whole and complete. Every experience enriches me. Every challenge strengthens me. I cannot fail, for I am always growing. This shift in perspective allows you to approach life with courage and enthusiasm. It frees you to take risks, to try new things, to fully express your divine nature without the paralyzing fear of what if. Now let us explore the ninth habit, lack of self-discipline. My dear friends, self-discipline is often misunderstood. Many see it as a form of self-denial or forcing oneself to unpleasant tasks. But true self-discipline is something far more powerful and liberating. It is the ability to align your actions with your highest intentions, to bring your outer world into harmony with your inner vision. You see, each of you has within you a vision of your highest self, your most divine expression. This vision is not something imposed from outside, but a knowing that comes from your deepest essence. Self-discipline is the bridge that allows you to bring this vision into reality. When you lack self-discipline, you are at the mercy of your fleeting moods, your temporary discomforts, your habitual patterns. You allow the small everyday self to override the wisdom of your higher self. In doing so, you deny your own divinity, your own power to shape your reality. Instead of viewing self-discipline as a burden, I urge you to see it as a form of self-love. It is the highest respect you can show to your divine nature. When you exercise self-discipline, you are saying to the universe, I honor my highest vision. I commit to my own growth and expansion. When you find yourself struggling with self-discipline, pause. Take a deep breath. Connect with your vision of your highest self. Feel the power and aliveness of that vision. Then ask yourself, what action would my highest self take in this moment? Trust the answer that arises and act on it. Remember, self-discipline is not about perfection. It's about consistent effort, about choosing again and again to align with your highest intentions. Each time you make this choice, you strengthen your connection to your divine nature. You expand your capacity to create your desired reality. And finally, we come to our 10th habit, neglecting self-care. My dear friends, your physical body is the temple of your divine spirit. It is the vehicle through which you experience this earthly realm, the instrument through which you express your divine nature. When you neglect self-care, you are not honoring this sacred vessel. But self-care goes beyond mere physical maintenance. True self-care nourishes your mind, your emotions, your spirit. It is about creating space in your life for joy, for rest, for reflection. It is about honoring your needs, respecting your boundaries, and nurturing your deepest self. When you neglect self-care, you are saying to the universe, I am not worthy of care and attention. But I tell you, you are worthy of all the care, all the love, all the attention you can give yourself. For in caring for yourself, you are caring for a unique expression of the divine. Instead of viewing self-care as selfish or indulgent, I urge you to see it as a sacred duty. Just as you would tend to a precious garden, tend to yourself with love, with attention, with devotion. For as you nurture yourself, you increase your capacity to express your divine nature, to bring more light into the world. When you find yourself neglecting self-care, pause. Take a deep breath. Ask yourself, what does my deepest self need in this moment? It might be rest, nourishment, movement, connection, or quiet reflection. Trust the answer that arises and honor it. Remember, self-care is not about pampering yourself occasionally. It's about consistently honoring your needs, respecting your boundaries, and nurturing your whole being. It's about creating a life that supports your highest expression. Now, my dear friends, as we come to the close of our exploration of these 10 habits, I want you to understand something crucial. These habits, these patterns of thought and behavior, are not your true nature. They are simply habits, learned responses that you have adopted over time. And just as you have learned them, you can unlearn them. You see, you are not these habits. You are not your thoughts, your emotions, your past experiences. You are the awareness that observes all these things. You are the divine consciousness that animates your being. This awareness, this consciousness untouched by any habit, any pattern, any experience. When you recognize this truth, when you identify with your true nature rather than with these temporary habits, you reclaim your power. You step into your divine inheritance as a creator, as a shaper of reality. So I urge you, my dear friends, to be vigilant. Watch your thoughts, your words, your actions. When you catch yourself falling into these habits of mental weakness, pause. Take a deep breath. Remind yourself of your true nature. Choose again, this time from a place of power of divine knowing. Remember, every moment is a new beginning. Every breath is an opportunity to realign with your highest self. You are not bound by your past, by your habits, by your perceived limitations. You are free here and now to choose again. As you go forth from this place, carry with you this knowing. You are a divine being, perfect, whole, and complete. These habits we've discussed are not flaws to be corrected, but opportunities for growth, for expansion, for more fully expressing your true nature. Embrace these opportunities. Use them as stepping stones on your journey of self-realization. For as you release these habits of mental weakness, you make space for your true strength to emerge. You allow your divine light to shine more brightly in the world. And know this as you do this work, as you consciously choose to align with your highest self, you are not just transforming your own life. You are contributing to the transformation of the entire world. For we are all one, all expressions of the same divine consciousness. Your growth, your expansion, your light touches us all. So go forth, my dear friends, with courage and conviction. Recognize these habits when they arise, but do not judge them. Simply choose again. Choose to align with your highest self, your divine nature. For in doing so, you are fulfilling your sacred purpose. You are becoming who you truly are. Remember always, you are powerful beyond measure, loved beyond imagination, and capable of more than you could ever dream. Now go and let your divine light shine.
You're living alive. Yes, you heard that right. The person you are right now, the one sitting here listening to these words, is not your true self. It's a facade. It's a facade. A mask you've crafted over years of compromise, fear and self-doubt. But what if I told you that beneath this mask lies a version of you so powerful, so radiant, that it could transform your entire existence? Close your eyes for a moment. Envision the absolute best version of yourself. See it clearly in your mind's eye. How does this version of you walk? How does it speak? How does it interact with the world? Here's the shocking truth. That version of you is not some far-off dream or unattainable ideal. It's the real you waiting to be unleashed. Every day, you wake up and unconsciously choose to be less than you truly are. You settle for mediocrity, convincing yourself that greatness is for others, not for you. But why? Who decided that you couldn't be extraordinary? Who planted the seed of doubt that has grown into a forest of limitations? The world you see around you, the circumstances of your life, are nothing but a reflection of your inner state. Your current reality is the sum total of your past thoughts, beliefs, and assumptions about yourself and the world. If you're not satisfied with what you see, there's only one solution. Change the inner world, and the outer must follow. Have you ever noticed how some people seem to effortlessly attract success, love, and abundance into their lives? It's as if the universe conspires in their favor. What's their secret? They've realized a fundamental truth about reality. Your outer world is a mirror of your inner world. These individuals don't behave as trying to become successful or loved or abundant. They behave as if they already are. And in doing so, they align themselves with that reality, making it manifest in their physical experience. Now, you might be thinking that's easier said than done. I can't just pretend to be something I'm not. But that's where you're wrong. You're not pretending. You're reconnecting with your true, limitless self. Think about a time when you felt truly alive, when you were operating at your highest level. Perhaps it was a moment of great achievement, or a time when you felt completely in flow. That was an anomaly. That was you free from the shackles of self-doubt and limitation. That was you behaving as your best self. What if you could live from that state constantly? What if, instead of it being a rare occurrence, it became your default mode of being? How would your life transform? How would your relationships change? How would your career evolve? The power to make this shift lies entirely within you. It's not about changing who you are. It is about becoming who you truly are. It's about shedding the layers of conditioning and false beliefs that have accumulated over years, obscuring your true radiant self. That yes, the transformation doesn't happen by wishing or hoping. It happens through a fundamental shift in how you perceive yourself and the world around you. It requires you to challenge every assumption you've ever made about who you are and what you're capable of. Are you ready for that challenge? Are you prepared to question everything you thought you knew about yourself? Are you willing to let go of the comfortable familiarity of your current self-concept and step into the unknown territory of your highest potential? If the answer is yes, then you're about to embark on the most thrilling adventure of your life, an adventure that will lead you to the very core of your being, where you'll discover reservoirs of power, creativity, and love that you never knew existed. This journey begins with a simple yet profound understanding. Your imagination is the gateway to your transformation. Every great achievement, every monumental change in human history began as a thought, an idea, a vision in someone's mind. Your life is no different. The person you'll become tomorrow is born in your imagination today. So I ask you, who do you want to be? Not who do you think you should be or who others expect you to be, but who, in your heart of hearts, do you truly desire to become? See that person clearly. Feel what it's like to be them. Experience the world through their eyes. This is not mere daydreaming or wishful thinking. This is the first step in the profound process of transformation. By holding this image of your ideal self in your mind, by feeling the reality of it, you are setting in motion forces that will reshape your entire existence. But remember, this is not about escaping your current reality or denying who you are now. It's about recognizing that who you are now is just a small fraction of who you can be. It's about expanding your sense of self to encompass all your potential, all your dreams, all your deepest desires. As we continue this exploration, we'll delve deeper into the mechanics of this transformation. We'll uncover the principles that govern the relationship between your inner world and your outer reality. We'll learn how to harness the incredible power of your imagination to reshape you. But for now, I want you to hold on to that vision of your best self. Feel it. Breathe it in. Let it permeate every cell of your being. Because from this moment forward, that is who you are. Not someday in the future. Not when you've achieved certain goals or met certain conditions. But right now, in this very instant, you are that best version of yourself. Now it's time to align your thoughts, your words, and your actions with that truth. It's time to behave as if you are the best version of yourself. Your imagination is the most powerful tool you possess. It's the key to unlocking your true potential, the bridge between your current reality and the life you desire. But here's the catch. Most people use their imagination against themselves. They imagine worst-case scenarios, replay past failures, and visualize future disappointments. They're using this incredible power to reinforce their limitations rather than transcend them. What if, instead, you use your imagination to construct a new self-concept? What if you directed this power towards envisioning and embodying your highest self? Every thought you think, every belief you hold, every assumption you make about yourself and the world around you is shaping your reality in this very moment. Your self-concept, the mental image you hold of who you are, is the foundation upon which your entire life is built. If you see yourself as limited, unworthy, or incapable, that's exactly what you'll experience in your outer world. But if you see yourself as limitless, deserving, and powerful, your reality will shift to reflect that inner vision. This isn't wishful thinking or pop psychology. It's a fundamental law of consciousness. Your outer world is a reflection of your inner state. Change the inner and the outer must follow. But how do we make this shift? How do we change our self-concept at such a deep level that it transforms our entire reality? The answer lies in the proper use of your imagination. Your imagination is not just a place to escape reality. It's a tool to create reality. When you imagine yourself as your ideal self, when you feel the reality of being that person, you're not engaging in mere fantasy. You're programming your subconscious mind with a new self-image. Your subconscious mind doesn't distinguish between what's real and what's vividly imagined. It accepts whatever you feed it as truth and then works tirelessly to bring that truth into your physical experience. Think about that for a moment. Every time you vividly imagine yourself as your best self, every time you feel the reality of being that person, you're literally rewiring your brain. You're creating new neural pathways that support this new self-image. But it's not enough to do this once or twice. This needs to become your new way of being. You need to live from this new self-concept consistently, persistently, until it becomes your default state. This is where many people falter. They catch a glimpse of their potential. They feel the excitement of what could be. But then they snap back to their old patterns of thinking and being. They allow their current circumstances, their past experiences, or the opinions of others to override their vision of their ideal self. Don't fall into this trap. Your circumstances are not your reality. They are the aftermath of your previous thinking. Your past does not define you. It simply reveals where your thoughts have been. And the opinions of others are just opinions. They have no power over you unless you give them power. Your power lies in your ability to choose your thoughts, to select the self-concept you wish to embody. This choice is available to you in every moment. No matter what's happening around you, no matter what challenges you face, you always have the power to choose how you see yourself. So how do you make this choice? How do you shift your self-concept in a way that's powerful and lasting? It begins with clarity. You must have a clear, vivid picture of who you want to be. Not just in terms of what you want to have or achieve, but in terms of the kind of person you want to be. How does this ideal version of you think? How do they feel? How do they carry themselves? How do they interact with others? Once you have this clear vision, you must make it real in your imagination. Close your eyes and step into this version yourself. Feel what it's like to be this person. Experience the world through their eyes. Let every detail be vivid and alive in your mind. As you do this, pay attention to your emotions. Emotion is the fuel that powers your imagination. The more you can feel the reality of being your ideal self, the more quickly you align with that reality in your outer world. But remember, this isn't about escaping your current reality. It's about transforming it from within. As you imagine your ideal self, bring that energy, that way of being into your daily life. Begin to walk, talk, and act as if you are already that person. This might feel uncomfortable at first. You might feel like an imposter. That's okay. It's a natural part of the process. You're stretching beyond your current self-concept, and growth always involves some discomfort. Just through this discomfort, keep holding the vision of your ideal self. Keep feeling the reality of it. Keep acting from that state of being. As you do, you'll find that it becomes more and more natural. What once felt like pretending will start to feel authentic. This is the power of your imagination at work. By consistently imagining and embodying your ideal self, you're literally reshaping your self-concept. You're changing the blueprint from which your life is built. But here's where many people misunderstand this process. They think it's about forcing change, about struggling and striving to become something they're not. Nothing could be further from the truth. This process is not about becoming someone else. It's about becoming more fully yourself. It's about shedding the limitations and false beliefs that have held you back and embracing the fullness of who you truly are. Your ideal self is not some external standard you're trying to live up to. It's the truest expression of your own being. It's who you are when you're free from fear, doubt, and limitation. It's who you are when you're fully aligned with your deepest values and desires. As you continue to imagine and embody this ideal self, you will find that your outer world begins to shift. Opportunities that align with your new self-concept will start to appear. People will begin to treat you differently, responding to the new energy you're projecting. You might be tempted to dismiss these changes as coincidence. Don't. They are the natural result of your shifted self-concept. Remember, your outer world is a reflection of your inner state. As you change your inner world, your outer world must change to match it. This is where faith comes in. Not blind faith in some external power, but faith in the power of your own conscience. Faith that as you continue to hold this new self-concept, as you continue to live from this state of being, your outer world will inevitably align with it. This faith is crucial because the changes in your outer world may not happen overnight. There may be a lag between your inner shift and its outer manifestation. During this time, it's essential to stay true to your new self-concept, to continue behaving as if you're already your ideal self. This is where many people give up. They make an inner change, but when they don't see immediate results in their outer world, they revert to their old patterns of thinking and being. Don't make this mistake. Trust the process. Know that as you persist in your new state of being, your outer world must conform to it. Remember, you're not trying to force the outer world to change. You're allowing it to change by changing yourself from within. This is the true secret of personal transformation. It's not about manipulating external circumstances. It's about aligning your inner state with your desire. As you continue this practice, you'll find that it becomes easier and more natural. What once required conscious effort will become automatic. You find yourself naturally thinking, feeling, and acting as your ideal self without having to remind yourself to do so. This is when true transformation occurs, when your new self-concept becomes so ingrained that it's simply who you are, not who you're trying to be. When behaving as your best self is no longer a conscious choice, but your default state of being. But even as you reach this state, don't become complacent. Your ideal self is not a fixed destination. It's an ever-evolving vision. As you grow and evolve, so too will your concept of your best self. Embrace this ongoing evolution. Continue to expand your vision of what's possible for you. Use your imagination to push the boundaries of your self-concept. Dare to dream bigger. Dare to be more. Remember, the only limits that exist are the ones you accept in your own mind. As you expand your self-concept, you expand the possibilities for your life. This is the true power of imagination and self-concept. It's not just about improving your circumstances or achieving specific goals. It's about fundamentally transforming who you are and how you experience life. By harnessing this power, you're not just changing what you do, what you have. You're changing who you are at the deepest level. And when you change who you are, everything in your life changes with you. So I challenge you, regard or imagine the grandest version of yourself. Dare to hold that vision consistently, to feel this reality, to live from that state of being. As you do, watch in awe as your life transforms to match your new self-concept. Remember, you're not bound by your past, by your current circumstances, or by anyone else's expectations. You are bound only by the limits of your own imagination. And your imagination is limited. Use this power wisely. Use it to become the fullest, most magnificent expression of yourself. Use it to create a life that reflects your highest vision. Use it to behave as if you are the best version of yourself. Because in truth, that's exactly who you are. The concept of living from the end is perhaps the most powerful tool in your arsenal of transformation. It's the art of experiencing your desired reality, your imagination so vividly that you begin to live from that state in your present moment. This isn't about mere positive thinking or wishful daydreaming. It's about a fundamental shift in your consciousness that aligns you with the reality you wish to experience. When you live from the end, you're not hoping for a better future or working towards a goal. You're experiencing that future now, in the only moment that truly exists, the present. This might sound paradoxical, but it's the key to rapid and profound transformation. Everything you've ever experienced, every achievement you've ever accomplished, first existed in your imagination. Your current reality was once just a thought, a vision, a feeling. By living from the end, you're accelerating this process. You're bringing your desired future into your present experience through the power of your consciousness. But how exactly do you live from the end? How do you embody your ideal self in a way that's authentic and transformative? It begins with a simple yet profound shift in your perception. Instead of seeing your ideal self as something to be achieved in the future, you must see it as who you truly are right now. This isn't about denying your current circumstances. It's about recognizing that your true identity isn't defined by those circumstances, but by the innermost essence of who you are. Your ideal self is in some distant, perfected version of you. It's the truest expression of your being, free from the limitations and false beliefs that have accumulated over time. When you live from the end, you're not becoming someone new. You're remembering who you've always been beneath the layers of conditioning and self-doubt. To embody this ideal self, you must first clearly define it. What qualities does your ideal self embody? How does this version of you think, feel, and act? What beliefs does this version of you hold about yourself and the world? Be specific and vivid in your vision. Once you have this clear vision, the next step is to fully experience it in your imagination. Close your eyes and step into this version of yourself. Feel what it's like to be this person. Experience the world through their eyes. How do they walk? How do they speak? How do they interact with others? How do they handle challenges? As you do this, pay close attention to the feelings that arise. The feeling is the secret. It's not enough to just visualize your ideal self. You must feel the reality of being that person. Feel the confidence, the joy, the peace, the love that this version will experience. Let these feelings permeate every cell of your being. This isn't a one-time exercise. To truly live from the end, you must make this your new normal. Whenever you find yourself slipping back into old patterns of thought or behavior pause, take a deep breath, reconnect with the feeling of being your ideal self. Then from that state of being, continue with your day. At first, this might feel challenging. You might feel like you're pretending or being inauthentic. That's okay. It's a natural part of the process. Remember, you're stretching beyond your current self-concept. There will be some discomfort as you expand into this new way of being. Persist through this discomfort. Keep reminding yourself that this ideal self isn't some fake persona you're trying to adopt. It's the truest expression of who you are. As you continue to embody this state, you'll find that it becomes more and more natural. What once felt like pretending will start to feel authentic. But living from the end isn't just about how you feel internally. It's also about how you show up in the world. It's about aligning your thoughts, words, and actions with your ideal self. This is where many people fall. They can imagine their ideal self. They can even feel the reality of it internally. But they struggle to bring that energy into their daily lives. To truly embody your ideal self, you must act as if you are already that person. How would your ideal self handle the challenges you're currently facing? How would they interact with the people in your life? How would they approach their work, their relationships, their health? This doesn't mean ignoring your current circumstances or pretending that challenges don't exist. It means approaching those circumstances and challenges from the perspective of your ideal self. It means responding to life from a place of empowerment, confidence, and inner peace, rather than from fear, doubt, or limitation. As you begin to consistently feel and act as your ideal self, you'll notice something remarkable happening. The world around you will begin to respond differently. Opportunities that align with your new way of being will start to appear. People will begin to treat you differently, responding to the new energy you're projecting. This is where faith becomes crucial. Not blind faith in some external power, but faith in the creative power of your own consciousness. Faith that as you continue to live from the end, as you continue to embody your ideal self, your outer world will inevitably align with this inner reality. This faith is important because there may be a lag between your inner shift and its outer manifestation. During this time, it's essential to stay true to your new way of being. Don't let temporary circumstances or setbacks shake your conviction. Remember, your current reality is the result of your past thinking and being. As you persist in your new state, your reality must shift to reflect it. Living from the end also requires a fundamental shift in your relationship with time. Most people live in a state of constant anticipation, always looking forward to some future moment when their desires will be fulfilled. But when you live from the end, you bring that future into your present experience. You're not waiting for something to happen. You're experiencing it now in your consciousness. This shift in perception creates a profound sense of peace and fulfillment. You're no longer chasing after desires or striving to become something in the future. You're experiencing the essence of what you desire right now. This doesn't mean you become passive or stop taking action towards your goals. On the contrary, you'll find yourself inspired to take aligned action from the state of fulfillment. As you continue to live from the end and embody your ideal self, you'll likely encounter resistance, both from within yourself and from the world around you. Your old self-concept, reinforced by years of habit, won't give up without a fight. You may find yourself slipping back into old patterns of thinking and behaving. When this happens, don't judge yourself. Don't see it as failure. Simply recognize it as part of the process and gently bring yourself back to the state of your ideal self. Remember, you're reprogramming deeply ingrained patterns. It takes time and persistence. You may also encounter resistance from others. As you begin to embody your ideal self, some people in your life might react this way. They're used to the old you, and your transformation might make them uncomfortable. Don't let this deter you. Stay true to your new way of being. The right people, those who resonate with your true self, will be drawn to you. Living from the end and embodying your ideal self is not a destination. It's an ongoing journey of expansion and self-discovery. As you grow and evolve, your vision of your ideal self may change. Embrace this evolution. Continue to expand your concept of what's possible for you. Use your imagination to push the boundaries of your self-concept. Dare to dream bigger. Dare to be more. Remember, the only limits that exist are the ones you accept in your own mind. As you expand your vision of your ideal self, you expand the possibilities for your life. This practice of living from the end and embodying your ideal self is not just about personal achievement or success. It's about aligning with the deepest truth of who you are. It's about expressing the fullness of your being in every moment. As you do this, you not only transform your own life, but you also uplift those around you. You become a living example of what's possible, inspiring others to step into their own greatness. So I challenge you, dare to live from the end, dare to fully embody your ideal self. Not someday in the future, but right now, in this very moment. Feel the reality of being that person. Think as that person thinks. Speak as that person speaks. Act as that person acts. Do this consistently, persistently, with unwavering faith in the creative power of your consciousness. As you do, watch in awe as your life transforms to match this inner reality. Watch as you become the living embodiment of your highest vision. Remember, you are not bound by your past, by your current circumstances, or by anyone else's expectations. You are bound only by the limits of your own imagination. And your imagination is limitless. In every moment, you have the power to choose who you want to be. Choose to be the best version of yourself. Choose to live from the end. Choose to embody your ideal self. As you make this choice consistently, you will find that it's not just your life that transforms. You transform. You become the person you've always known. Deep down, that this is the true power of living from the end and embodying your ideal self. It's not just about achieving goals or improving your circumstances. It's about becoming the fullest, most magnificent expression of who you truly are. It's about aligning with the deepest truth of your being and letting that truth shine forth in every aspect of your life. So go forth with courage and conviction. Live from the end. Embody your ideal self. Be the person you know you can be. The world is waiting for you to shine in all your brilliance. It's time to step into the fullness of who you truly are. It's time to behave as if you are the best version of yourself. Because in truth, that's exactly who you are.
I tell you now, as I have told countless others who have sat where you sit tonight, that the very idea that you must do something external to receive what you desire is the greatest lie ever perpetuated upon humanity. It is this lie that keeps you running on the hamster wheel of endless action, forever chasing, forever seeking, forever believing that your good lies somewhere outside of you, waiting to be earned through struggle and toil. Tonight, I want to shatter that illusion completely. I want to show you that everything you have ever desired, everything you have ever dreamed of, every state of being you have ever longed to experience already exists within you at this very moment. Not as a potential, not as a possibility, but as an absolute reality waiting to be claimed through the simple act of assumption. You see, most of you have been conditioned to believe that the world you perceive with your senses is the cause of your experiences. You look at your bank account and say, I am poor because I see emptiness there. You look at your relationships and say, I am unloved because I see evidence of rejection. You look at your circumstances and say, I am limited because these walls confine me. But I tell you that you have it completely backwards. The world you see is not the cause of anything. It is merely the shadow cast by your own consciousness, the external reflection of your internal states. Your bank account is empty because you have assumed the feeling of poverty. Your relationships are troubled because you have assumed the feeling of being unloved. Your circumstances are limited because you have assumed the feeling of limitation. The external world is nothing more than a mirror, faithfully reflecting back to you the assumptions you hold to be true about yourself. This is why I can stand before you tonight and declare with absolute certainty that you need do nothing external to change your world. The work, if we can even call it work, is entirely internal. It is the work of changing your assumptions, of revising your concept of self, of daring to assume that you are already the person you wish to become, already living in the state you wish to experience. But before we go further, let me address the elephant in the room. When I say do nothing, I do not mean that you should become passive, lazy, or indifferent to life. What I mean is that you should cease all frantic action that stems from the belief that your good is separate from you. Stop chasing. Stop seeking. Stop trying to make things happen through force and manipulation. Instead, learn to live from the assumption that what you desire is already yours, and watch as the external world rearranges itself to match this inner conviction. The ancient teaching tells us that God's name is I Am, and that this sacred name dwells within each of us. When you say I am, you are speaking from the very throne of creation itself. You are not describing what you appear to be in the world of shadows. You are declaring what you choose to be in the realm of reality. Every time you complete the sentence I am with anything, you are either claiming your divinity or denying it. When you say I am wealthy, you are not making a statement about your bank account. You are assuming the feeling of wealth, the consciousness of abundance, the very essence of prosperity itself. When you say I am love, you are not referring to how others treat you. You are claiming the state of being beloved, the consciousness of worthiness, the very feeling of love fulfilled. When you say I am free, you are not describing your external circumstances. You are assuming the state of freedom, the consciousness of liberation, the very essence of unbound possibility. Now, here is where most people stumble. They think that assuming these states means pretending or lying to themselves. They believe they must somehow convince themselves that their external circumstances have changed when they clearly haven't. But this is not what I'm teaching at all. I'm not asking you to deny what your senses report. I'm asking you to recognize that what your senses report is simply the outpicturing of yesterday's assumptions, and that you have the power to plant new assumptions that will create new experiences. Think of it this way. When you plant a seed in the ground, you don't dig it up every day to see if it's growing. You don't worry and fret and wonder if it will grow. You simply trust that the seed contains within itself everything necessary for its full expression, and you go about your life knowing that in due time you will see the harvest. The same principle applies to your assumptions. When you assume the feeling of your wish fulfilled, you have planted the seed of experience in the fertile soil of consciousness. You don't need to help it grow. You don't need to manipulate circumstances to make it happen. You simply need to maintain the assumption and trust that it contains within itself everything necessary for its full manifestation. But let me be even more specific about what I mean by doing nothing. I mean that you cease all action that comes from a sense of lack, limitation, or separation from your desire. When you feel compelled to act from desperation, from fear that your desire won't come to pass, from a sense that you must make something happen, this is the action I'm telling you to cease. This kind of action actually pushes desire away from you because it springs from the assumption that you don't already have what you want. Instead, the only action you should take is action that flows naturally from the assumption that you already are what you wish to be. If you have assumed the feeling of wealth and an investment opportunity presents itself, you might feel moved to investigate it, not from a desperate need to become wealthy, but from the natural curiosity of someone who already is wealthy. If you have assumed the feeling of being loved and someone attractive enters your life, you might feel moved to engage with them, not from a desperate need to find love, but from the natural confidence of someone who already knows they are beloved. You see the difference? One type of action comes from lack and actually reinforces the very state you're trying to escape. The other type of action comes from fulfillment and serves to externalize the state you have already claimed internally. The first type of action is what I'm telling you to cease. The second type of action will happen naturally and effortlessly once you've truly assumed your desired state. Now, let me share with you the secret that makes all of this possible. Every state of consciousness, every possible experience, every conceivable condition already exists in what I call the infinite states of being. Poverty exists as a state. Wealth exists as a state. Sickness exists as a state. Health exists as a state. Loneliness exists as a state. Love exists as a state. They all exist simultaneously, and you move between them not through external action, but through the simple act of assumption. Right now, as I speak these words, there is a version of you that is wealthy beyond measure. There is a version of you that is perfectly healthy. There is a version of you that is deeply loved and cherished. There is a version of you that is free from every limitation you currently experience. These are not fantasies or wishful thinking. These are actual states of being that exist in the realm of infinite possibility. The question is not whether these states exist, they do. The question is not whether you deserve to experience them, you do. The question is not whether it's possible for you to access them, it is. The only question is, which state will you choose to assume? Which version of yourself will you choose to be? And here's the beautiful part. The moment you assume a state, you become it. Not in some future time, not when conditions are right, not when you've done enough or worked hard enough or proven yourself worthy. Right now, in this very moment, as you assume the feeling of your wish fulfilled, you become the person who already has what you desire. The external world may take some time to catch up and reflect this new assumption. But in the realm of consciousness, which is the only realm that truly matters, the transformation is instantaneous. This is why I can tell you to do nothing after this and watch how everything falls into place. Because once you've truly assumed your desired state, once you've claimed your good in consciousness, the entire universe must rearrange itself to match your assumption. This is not magic or wishful thinking. This is the fundamental law of consciousness, the very principle upon which all creation operates. But I must warn you about something. Your rational mind will resist this teaching with everything it has. It will tell you that you're being foolish, that you're living in a fantasy, that you need to be realistic about your situation. It will point to your current circumstances as evidence that your assumptions don't work. It will remind you of past failures and convince you that this time will be no different. This resistance is natural and expected. Your rational mind has been trained to believe in the reality of the external world, to put its faith in what can be seen and touched and measured. But I'm asking you to put your faith in something far more substantial, the creative power of your own consciousness. I am asking you to recognize that what you call reality is nothing more than the externalization of beliefs and assumptions you've held for so long that you've forgotten you chose them. When doubt arises, and it will, don't fight it. Don't try to convince yourself that your desire is already manifested when all evidence seems to suggest otherwise. Instead, simply return to the feeling of your wish fulfilled. Assume the state you wish to experience and rest in that assumption. Remember that feelings are the language of the subconscious mind, and it is through feeling that all transformation takes place. Let me give you a practical example of how this works. Suppose you desire to be financially free. Instead of focusing on how you might achieve this freedom, instead of making plans and taking action from a place of financial lack, you would begin by assuming the feeling of already being financially free. You would sit quietly and imagine what it would feel like to have complete financial security. Not what you would do with the money, not what you would buy, but the actual feeling of financial freedom itself. How would you feel if you never had to worry about money again? How would you feel if you could make any purchase without concern for the cost? How would you feel if you had complete control over your time? Because you weren't bound by financial necessity. Capture that feeling. Embody it. Live in it. Make it as real and natural as the feeling of being yourself, because that's exactly what it is. It's the feeling of being the version of yourself that already has financial freedom. Once you've assumed this feeling, once you've made it natural and familiar, you do nothing else. You don't chase opportunities. You don't force yourself to work harder. You don't try to manipulate circumstances. You simply live from the assumption that you are already financially free. And you allow the external world to conform to inner conviction. This doesn't mean you become passive or lazy. It means that any action you take comes from the feeling of already having what you desire, rather than from the desperate need to get it. If opportunities present themselves, you evaluate them from the consciousness of wealth, not from the consciousness of lack. If Inspiration strikes you to pursue a particular path. You follow it from the confidence of someone who already has financial freedom, not from the fear of someone who desperately needs it. The same principle applies to every area of your life. If you desire love, assume the feeling of being loved. If you desire health, assume the feeling of perfect vitality. If you desire success, assume the feeling of having already achieved your goals. In each case, you're not trying to get something you don't have. You're claiming something that already exists within the infinite states of being. Now, I want to address something that troubles many people when they first encounter this teaching. They ask if everything already exists, if all states are already available, then why do we experience lack and limitation at all? Why isn't everyone already living in their desired state? The answer is simple, because most people don't know that they have the power to choose their state. They believe they are victims of circumstance, that their experiences are determined by external forces beyond their control. They look at their current situation and assume it's permanent, that it defines who they are and what's possible for them. But you are not most people. You are here tonight because something within you recognizes the truth of what I'm sharing. You sense that there's more to life than what you've been experiencing. You feel the stirring of a power within you that is capable of transforming every aspect of your existence. That power is your imagination, your ability to assume any state you choose and to live from that assumption until it becomes your external reality. Your imagination is not a mere faculty for daydreaming or fantasy. It is the creative power of God individualized in you. It is through imagination that you move between states of being. It is through imagination that you claim your good. It is through imagination that you transform your world. When you imagine yourself as already being the person you wish to become, when you feel yourself into the state you wish to experience, you are not pretending or make-believing. You are exercising the highest function of human consciousness. You are participating in the very act of creation itself. This is why the Bible tells us that God created man in his own image. You are made in the image of the Creator, which means you have the same creative power. The only difference is that God creates from the state of perfect fulfillment, knowing that all things are possible, while most humans create from states of lack and limitation, believing that their good is separate from them. But tonight you have the opportunity to change all of that. Tonight you can choose to create from the same state of perfect life that God creates from. You can assume that you already are everything you wish to be, that you already have everything you desire, that you already live in the state of complete satisfaction and joy. And when you make this assumption, when you really feel yourself into this state, something miraculous happens. The entire structure of your reality begins to shift. Not through your efforts, not through your struggling, not through your trying to make things happen, but through the natural operation of consciousness itself. You see, consciousness is always externalizing itself. It cannot help but create external conditions that match its internal assumptions. This is not something you have to make happen. It's something that happens automatically, inevitably, lawfully. Your job is not to figure out how your assumption will manifest. Your job is simply to assume it and to persist in that assumption until it becomes as natural as breathing. This brings me to another crucial point. Many people assume their desired state for a few days or weeks, and when they don't see immediate external changes, they become discouraged and abandon their assumption. They go back to their old patterns of thinking and feeling, and then wonder why nothing changed. But I tell you that assumption is like planting a seed. You don't plant a seed today and expect to harvest fruit tomorrow. You plant the seed and you tend it with patient confidence, knowing that it contains within itself everything necessary for its full expression. You water it with your attention, you protect it from the weeds of doubt and fear, and you trust that in due season you will see the harvest. The same patience and persistence is required with your assumptions. When you assume a state, you've planted the seed of that experience in consciousness. It will grow and manifest in external form, but you must give it time. You must maintain your assumption even when the external world hasn't yet caught up. You must live from your desired state even when your senses report otherwise. This is what I mean by faith. Not faith in something external to yourself, Not faith in a distant God who may or may not answer your prayers, but faith in the creative power of your own consciousness. Faith that your assumptions are creative. Faith that consciousness is always externalizing itself. Faith that what you assume to be true about yourself must, by the very nature of consciousness itself, become your external reality. Now let me share with you a profound secret that will accelerate your understanding of this principle. There is no time in consciousness. Past, present, and future are merely constructs of the rational mind. In consciousness, everything exists in an eternal now. This means that when you assume a state, you're not creating something new, you're claiming something that already exists in the timeless realm of being. Your desired state exists right now. The version of you that has everything you want exists right now. The experience you long for exists right now. Not in some future time when conditions are right, but right now in this eternal moment of consciousness. When you truly understand this, when you really grasp that your good already exists and is available to you right now, you stop trying to make it happen and start allowing it to be. You stop efforting and struggling and start resting in the certainty of fulfillment. You stop chasing your desires and start living from them. This is the ultimate meaning of doing nothing. You do nothing to create your good because your good already exists. You do nothing to earn your desires because you already deserve them. You do nothing to make yourself worthy because you are already worthy. You simply assume the state of having what you want, and you rest in that assumption with perfect confidence. But here's what will happen when you truly embrace this teaching. The people around you will think you've lost your mind. They'll see you sitting quietly, apparently doing nothing to improve your situation, and they'll think you've given up. They'll offer advice about what you should be doing, what actions you should be taking, what steps you need to follow to get what you want. Ignore them. Not because they're bad people or because they don't care about you, but because they're operating from a completely different paradigm. They believe in the reality of the external world. They believe that change must come from outside in. They believe that you must do something to become something. But you now know better. You know that all change comes from within. You know that you don't become something by doing something. You do something by first becoming it in consciousness. You know that the external world is merely the shadow, and that all real change must first occur in the substance that casts the shadow, your own wonderful human imagination. So when others question your apparent inaction, when they wonder why you're not more concerned about your circumstances, when they ask what you're doing to solve your problems, you can smile knowingly and continue to rest in your assumption. You can continue to live from the end, to feel yourself into the state of your wish fulfilled, to be the person you wish to become. And as you persist in this assumption, as you make it more and more natural, something wonderful will begin to happen. The external world will start to shift in ways that seem miraculous to others but are perfectly natural to you. Opportunities will present themselves. Circumstances will align. People will come into your life who can help you. Resources will become available. Doors will open where once there were only walls. But here's the key. These external changes are not the cause of your transformation. They are the effect of it. They are not making you wealthy or healthy or love. They are simply reflecting the wealth and health and love that you have already claimed in consciousness. They are the shadow conforming to the substance, the external world matching the internal assumption. This is why you can do nothing and watch everything fall into place. Because once you've truly assumed your desired state, once you've claimed it in the only realm where claiming is possible, in consciousness, the entire universe must reorganize itself to match your assumption. This is not a favor the universe does for you. This is simply how consciousness works. This is the law of being itself. Now, I want to share with you the most profound aspect of this teaching. When you assume a state and persist in that assumption until it becomes natural, you don't just change your circumstances, you change who you are. You don't just get what you want, you become the person who has what you want. And once you become that person, having what you want is not an achievement or an acquisition. It's simply the natural expression of who you are. This is why the wealthy person attracts wealth effortlessly. It's not because they're doing something special or following some secret formula. It's because they have the consciousness of wealth. It's who they are, not what they do. This is why the healthy person maintains their health without struggle. It's because they have the consciousness of health. This is why the loved person is surrounded by love. It's because they have the consciousness of being beloved. When you assume a state and make it natural, you become that state. And when you become that state, having the external correlates of that state is as natural as having thoughts or feelings. You don't work to have thoughts. You simply have them because you are a thinking being. You don't struggle to have feelings. You simply have them because you are a feeling being. In the same way, when you become the state of wealth, you simply have wealth because wealth is the natural expression of who you have become. This is the secret that the mystical traditions have been pointing to for thousands of years. Be still and know that I am God. Be still, stop the frantic action that comes from believing your good is separate from you. No, assume, claim, become convinced that I am God, that the creative power of the universe exists within you as your own wonderful human imagination. When you are still, when you cease the outer activities that spring from inner insecurity, you create the space for your assumptions to take root and grow. When you know that you are the operant power in your own experience, you stop looking outside yourself for salvation and start claiming your good from within. But let me address one more concern that may be arising in your mind. You may be thinking, this sounds too good to be true. If it were really this simple, wouldn't everyone be living their ideal life? Wouldn't everyone be wealthy and healthy and happy? The answer is that it is this simple. But it's not easy for most people because they've been conditioned to believe in the opposite of what I'm teaching. They've been taught that the external world is real and that consciousness is just a byproduct of brain activity. They've been taught that they must work hard and struggle to get what they want. They've been taught that they are separate from their desires and must somehow bridge that gap through action. These beliefs are so deeply ingrained, so thoroughly accepted, that most people never question them. They live their entire lives operating from these assumptions, and their experiences faithfully reflect them. They struggle because they believe struggle is necessary. They lack because they believe lack is their natural state. They suffer because they believe suffering is unavoidable. But you have been given a different understanding. You have been shown the truth about the nature of consciousness and the power of assumption. You have been invited to see beyond the world of appearances to the world of causes. You have been offered the key to every prison you have ever imagined yourself to be in. The question now is, what will you do with this knowledge? Will you dismiss it as too good to be true and return to your old patterns of struggle and striving? Will you try it for a few days and then abandon it when you don't see immediate results? Or will you embrace it fully, commit to it completely, and persist in your assumptions until they become your external reality? I hope you choose the latter, because you deserve to live the life of your dreams. You deserve to experience every good thing you have ever desired. You deserve to be wealthy and healthy and loved and free, not because of what you've done or what you might do, but simply because you exist, because you are consciousness itself individualized as a human being. And consciousness by its very nature is unlimited. It is infinite possibility, eternal expansion, boundless creativity. When you identify yourself with consciousness rather than with your circumstances, when you recognize that you are the I am that exists before all conditions and experiences, you discover that there is nothing you cannot be, nothing you cannot have, nothing you cannot experience. This is your true nature. This is who you really are. Not the struggling, seeking, limited being that appears in the world of shadows, but the unlimited, creative, divine being that exists in the realm of consciousness. When you know yourself as consciousness, when you operate from this level of being, you discover that you need do nothing to have everything, because everything already exists within you. So I leave you tonight with this final thought. You are not in the world is in you. Your circumstances are not determining your experience. Your consciousness is creating your circumstances. You are not at the mercy of external forces, You are the creative power that is expressing itself as your external world. Assume the feeling of your wish fulfilled. Persist in that assumption until it becomes natural. Live from the end, knowing that what you desire already exists and is available to you right now. Do nothing that springs from the belief that your good is separate from you, and do everything that flows from the assumption that you already are what you wish to become. When you do this, when you really understand and apply this principle, you will discover that you need do nothing after this. And you will watch and wonder as everything falls into place exactly as it should. Not through your efforts, not through your struggles, not through your attempts to make things happen, but through the natural, inevitable, lawful operation of consciousness itself. This is the promise I make to you tonight. This is the truth I share with you from the depths of my own experience and understanding. You have within you right now everything you need to transform your life completely. You need add nothing to yourself. You need do nothing external to claim your good. You need only assume the feeling of your wish fulfilled and persist in that assumption until it becomes your external reality. The power is yours. The choice is yours. The life you have always dreamed of living is yours for the claiming. All you need do is assume it, and everything else will fall into place exactly as it should.